We then return the annotator box labels, and we skip the next if statements since their associated variables are false. Finally, we return the annotator result to the self.plotted image. Next, since our only true argument is save, we go to the last if statement and jump into the save predicted images function. Once here, we step over this, since we are not dealing with video or streaming. Now we use the common im write function from OpenCV. At this point, we don't have the image saved yet. The moment we run this line, the annotated image will be saved to the runs detect predict folder, as you can see here. And if we open it, this is our YOLO annotated output prediction. And as you can imagine, we're now pretty much at the end, making our way out. We return our string variable to predictor.py, and since we only have one image, our batch of 1 is complete, allowing us to exit the for loop. Since verbose is set to true, we log whatever is stored in S. The moment we run this, you can see it printed right here in the terminal. Now, this line uses Python's yield from statement to efficiently return each result from self.results one by one. Instead of manually looping through the list, yield from self.results delegates the iteration to Python, keeping the code cleaner and more readable. This approach also improves memory efficiency, as we don't return everything at once, but rather stream the results as needed. So we're done processing our image, which triggers the dunder next method. Inside dunder next, the dataset attempts to retrieve the next batch of images, prepare them, and return them for processing. However, since there are no more batches left, our count and NF are both 1, it raises a stop iteration exception, signaling that we are officially done and exiting the loop. After processing all batches inside the loop, execution returns to the withLock block. This happens because withLock is a context manager, meaning it automatically controls when the lock is acquired and when it's released. At the start of this block, the lock is acquired, ensuring that only one thread can execute this inference section at a time. Then the dataset is iterated for each batch in dataset, processing each batch sequentially. Once all batches are processed and the loop completes, execution exits the loop. At this point, Python automatically releases the lock, allowing other threads to safely access shared resources. This design prevents race conditions, ensuring that multiple threads don't interfere with model execution or resource management. In this section, we're attempting to release video assets. However, since self.vidWriter is empty in our case, this loop effectively does nothing. The check and release process would be useful if there were any active video writers during processing. In that case, it would ensure that all video writers are properly closed and cleaned up, preventing any potential resource leaks or file access issues. Next, we move on to printing the final results related to processing speed. The code calculates the speed of different stages, pre-processing, inference, and post-processing, per image. It does this by iterating through the profilers, calculating the time taken for each stage, which is stored in the variable t. Each time is adjusted by dividing by the total number of images processed, self.scene, then multiplying by 1000 to convert from seconds to milliseconds. The results are then logged, displaying the time taken for each stage per image, along with the image shape, which is dynamically inserted based on the batch size and input image dimensions. Finally, we check if any of the save flags are set to true, indicating that results should be saved. The code proceeds to count the number of label files saved in the labels directory and calculates the total number of label files. A string S is then constructed to indicate how many label files have been saved. Finally, the code logs a message to inform the user about the saved results, highlighting the save directory path in bold and appending the label count if save text is enabled. At the end of execution, the dunder call returns a fully computed list of results. This means that streamed inference has run to completion inside list, processing all batches and yielding results until it finishes. This approach ensures that when stream equals false, as in our case, the entire inference process runs synchronously, collecting all results in memory before making them available to the caller. This is ideal for batch inference scenarios, where we want to process an entire dataset at once rather than handling a live stream. Now let's trace our way back through the execution flow. The results return to the predict method inside the model class. Here, dunder call acts as an alias for predict, allowing the model instance to be used like a function. When we call the model directly, such as model and the image inside, it automatically forwards the call to self.predict, making inference more intuitive and user-friendly. And finally, the return value of the dunder call method gets assigned to results in our code here. This completes our journey through the entire code execution flow from start to finish. Congratulations on making it all the way here. I hope you enjoyed these videos as much as I did creating them. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe to stay updated with new content. Until next time, happy learning